As the vice president visits Latin America, several Republicans are now criticizing her for not making a trip to the border itself. For more on this, let's go to Sergio Gonzalez, executive director of Immigration Hub and a former senior policy advisor to Vice President Harris when she was a senator. Sergio, thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So Vice President Harris has been charged with addressing the crisis at the border since March. So why do you think she hasn't visited the border yet?
She is tasked, and her portfolio is a very specific portfolio, and that is actually addressing the root cause of migration and leading the diplomatic efforts in the region to start addressing the reasons why people are coming to the border. And so while it is really linked to the issue of migration at our southern border, it is not the same thing. Republicans are very anxious to use this issue politically. They have, from the beginning of the Biden administration, tried to use immigration, as President Trump had, as a wedge issue to rally the base. And so while they're trying to attack the vice president for very political terms, the real portfolio that she actually has is to start doing things and lead work, intergovernmental work, that gets at some of the real and root causes of these problems.
These policy issues, things like corruption, poverty, climate change, the things that are really fueling the migration, these are long-term systemic problems, but the situation at the border is pretty urgent. So do you think that the vice president runs the risk of this approach taking too long to pay off, even if it does, or is that somebody else's department?
So this actually has to be part of a larger strategy, and that is what the White House has laid out. They're doing a number of things to actually approach this issue from a multifaceted plan, and that includes addressing the root causes. We've had a policy of enforcement in this country at our border for the past 20 years, largely led by Republicans. We've spent $333 billion at our border on border security. However, migration from Central America has continued to go up, and we're not going to really start addressing this issue unless we actually improve the conditions in Central America. The reasons that people are choosing to leave are very extreme in nature: extreme poverty, homelessness, hunger. The region was hit by 2 hurricanes. And so at the end of the day, if people have to choose between living without a home, with no food at their table, the possibility of their kids going hungry, and they have to choose between that or sending their children north to the United States where there's the possibility of life, they're going to choose the journey north. And so that's why this is a really important part of this work. And there's a lot of support for this work. Polling shows that a majority of Americans actually support addressing the root cause of migration, of leading this regional work. This is something that we didn't see under the prior administration. President Trump started his campaign for president by calling Mexican immigrant and nationals rapists and criminals. So that was the foreign policy posture from the beginning. This is a very different posture, and these are also very different policies. And again, this is part of a larger and broader effort to actually build an infrastructure at our border that is more orderly and fair.
So when you're looking at these kinds of long-term solutions, working within the realm of politics as well, knowing midterms elections are coming up, is there a way, do you think, that the vice president will be able to show success? What does it look like? How will it be measured? Can you do that when you're focusing on long-term solutions like this?
Well, I think when you're looking at this particular issue, there is short, midterm, and long-term goals. And while a lot of the problems in this region are very difficult, the early commitment matters. And so in just a period of a few months, that's how long the vice president has been doing this work, they've already rolled out a number of initiatives to actually start addressing the myriad of problems that they actually have in Central America. Part of that is expanding partnerships with philanthropies and companies to expand opportunity in the region. That is really critical because jobs don't exist in Central America. People cannot find work. So you actually have to provide hope to people that they can find a job so they can have a living. And then there's the issue of acute crises. Like I said before, there is extreme hunger in the region, so that humanitarian assistance and the aid is really important. We saw aid cut under the prior administration, so it's really important that aid is actually provided in Central America so people have food at their tables and you're able to provide shelter to people. And so I do believe you can start making progress and showing progress in the region. However, this is not not something that's going to happen overnight or in a few days or a few months. This is something that's going to happen over a sustained period of time. But I do think that after a failed policy of enforcement, largely led by Republicans for the past 20 years, like I said, and the billions of dollars that have been spent on border security, this is a welcome change in actually approaching this with seriousness and a high level of commitment, and also a new vision for how we actually address migration at our border.
And Sergio, a lot of leaders have tried to tackle these root causes in the past, including President Biden when he was vice president. A lot of money has been spent trying to tackle this problem or these problems. So how do you see this effort being different?
Well, one is I think that the fact that the vice president is starting this in the first year, early on during this administration, is really important. President Biden really started taking on that effort in the second term of the Obama administration. And I think he made some really good progress in launching what she's going to be able to carry on during this administration. I also think that this administration understands, after a period of sustained increasing levels of migration, including under President Trump. And I just want to point that out, that under President Trump, we saw policies like family separation. We saw policies like gutting our asylum system, our legal immigration system. And that did not curb migration. People still came. People still sent their children here. People still came in family units. Single adults still came. And so I think this administration understands that only by tackling this from the very beginning and being very serious about this approach, both by expanding legal pathways for immigration so people can come, by expanding inter-country and intra-country agreements with Mexico and countries in Central America, can we actually get at this issue and make a difference.
So what's your reaction then to critics who say that the vice president doesn't have the foreign policy experience to create the relationships that you're talking about?
I think it's misguided. I think the vice president has the ideal set of personal and professional experiences that actually build that will allow her to be very successful in this work. First of all, she sat on the Senate Intelligence Committee. I believe she went on Kodal's foreign trips, including one to Afghanistan. She sat on the Senate Homeland Security Committee and was one of the, I think, experts and foremost policy minds and leaders in the Senate during her time there on the issue of immigration. When she was Attorney General, she led work in combating transnational criminal organizations. She actually led a bipartisan trip down to Mexico to address issues like the cartels and human trafficking and smuggling. And these are really critical issues, really important issues when you're talking about migration from Central America. She also has a very personal experience here. She is the child of immigrants. And so I think, people empathize regardless of party. What you see in polling and when you talk to people understand that a parent, again, is not making these decisions to send their child to the United States hundreds of miles away, separating from their children without a lot of painful circumstances and decision-making that goes into that. And so I think people support the overall work here, and I think that she has the right set of values to approach this in a way that is humane, fair, but also brings a lot of strength to these issues.
All right, Sergio Gonzalez, great to have you. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.